Hello and welcome back to another video. Now in this video we are going to be talking about the AirPod Pros and how an Android user such as I gets around with using them and my experience with them. Now the reason I'm making this review now instead of a couple months after it released when I actually got them is because now I feel it's still relevant. It's in the place where it's not relevant at all, but it isn't overly relevant. And because of the Rona, can't say the real word because YouTube don't like that, but because of this Rona, maybe some people need some good noise cancellation headphones because, you know, they have family that like to watch TV loudly, have little brothers and sisters that like to watch TV, play video games extremely loud, or you just don't want to mess with that. You just want to just be by yourself. Or you just need it in general. Basically, I purchased these about 3 months after they released, which I don't remember exactly when that was. I just remember getting them in early January, or late December, early January. And I purchased them on a whim. I didn't know what I was getting into, really. I watched a review from Linus Tech Tips. He said it was amazing. There was other products on the market, such as the Sony WX1000 FM. I'm pointing out a picture of it. And then recently they just released the Sennheisers. I don't remember what it's called. And Linus Tech Tips did a review on both of them as well. I watch him for most of my reviews, and he has still yet to have a good pair of noise cancellating headphones or earphones, or whatever, I don't know, earbuds, I guess, that have came close to being as cleanly made and produced correctly, such as the AirPods Pros. And so when I purchased these, like I said, it was on a whim. I actually got a good deal on them. I purchased them when they were basically out of stock. I did go to an Apple store, and I tried them out, one of their test ones, and Apple store was extremely busy. It was full because of such because this was like in January before all this issues, and you know, they were trying to get some AirPod Pros, but they're out of stock everywhere. And I tried them out because they usually keep a couple at every Apple store to test. You can't actually do that now because, you know, the issues, the Rona. But I tried them out. I liked them. I only used them for like 30 seconds to a minute in the store. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try these out. So I hopped on Apple, and I saw, oh, okay, they're $250. I looked a little lower. Ships in February. That's a whole month. No thanks. So I went to Amazon. I went to new, and it says currently out of stock until February. So I went to eBay. Okay. They had a couple used ones, which is fine, I guess. They were like new used, I guess. You know, for about the same price, $230 to $250. But you know, they were used. They had no warranty with it. Missing boxes and stuff. And you know, I just don't want to deal with that. So then I went back on Amazon a couple of days later, and I see there was a thing for renewed. So Amazon renewed basically means that basically someone bought it, they got it, they opened it up, they might have used it, may have not used it, sent them back, and Amazon basically cleaned them up, put them back in the packaging, and then basically kind of reseal it, kind of making it like it's refurbished, but it's not nearly as bad. It's like refurbished plus. So, and I saw one, and there was like 3 listings. One was for $230, one was $250, one was $270, because, you know, they're trying to mark up. I ended up buying the $230 one. It was, like I said, renewed, and the case had a small indentation in it. Basically someone like accidentally scratched it. Not a big deal. And so 1 week passes. They said that they are now delaying that shipment for 2 more weeks. I said, no thanks, I'm not doing that. So I went back on there, and I saw there's more renewed listings for the AirPod Pros, and I ended up getting it for 2-day shipping at only $225 plus tax and such. And now I have AirPod Pros. First thing I bought was a case. And and on the new listing, it also said that it had a small scratch issue. Well, I bought a case anyways, because I need a way of like being able to securely keep it with me. I do wear jeans. Jeans have belt loop, and they also have the useless pocket, as some people call it, which is actually for like coins and like small knickknacks, and this fits perfectly in it. It fits perfect. If you watch the Linus Tech Tips video, should probably be in a card or in the link below. And it does pass Linus's useless pocket test. And yeah, so now let's actually get onto the experience of an Android user. So for an Android user, these are pretty simple to set up, but you do need an Apple device technically. And luckily, my father is in the Apple ecosystem. Kind of sucks because of that, but it also is a good thing because I was able to get these set up correctly. Now, you can set them up on Android just as it is, but it might be, you can't update it. It won't update. And B, you won't be able to technically rename it correctly, even though you can rename it in the Android system, but it's not actually renamed. It's not like built, it's not going to be baked into the actual name of the AirPods, and it will always continue trying to set up on other Apple devices if you don't use an Apple device. So I use my dad's iPad, and I set them up. I changed them to my name, to Milo's AirPod Pros, whatever, and I updated them. So then I connected them to my Android, and if you're on Apple, you get like a cool pop-up, tell you battery and such, say the name and stuff. Really cool, really clean, great for Apple users. And on Android, well, it's Android. We have open source applications basically. Basically, I currently use a app called MaterialPod, I believe, and it basically does the same thing, but with extra cool features. I will leave the Android download link as well in the description. For MaterialPods, and there's a pro version, which it's not very expensive. I forgot how much I paid. I think it might have been $2, $3, probably around there. And it's a very well-made app. It works great, and it will tell you battery percentages, and it's extremely customizable. I will also show my current settings, which makes it looks the most closest to Apple's, except with a dark theme, as you will be seeing. The audio quality is pretty good. Spotify comes, when you use Spotify in the settings, you can add equalizer settings. I usually keep my equalizer at flat, and then add about 25 to 50% bass boost, and then about 50%, I guess it's called surround sound or spatial sound or something. I'll show a picture of that as well. Sounds amazing. There's no real issues for that. Sound quality is pretty good. It's up there with like everything with the Funkles that I actually reviewed. I'll probably be in a card or a link or whatever. And the Funkles were good. They have similar sound quality to the Funkles. The Funkles are a little tinny, slightly more tinny, but they sound the same, similar. They sound very similar. But the AirPods Pros have noise cancellation and transparency. That's where I really got blown, like my mind got blown. Transparency is so useful because I'm a student, and when you're in school, you're only supposed to have one earbud on, or one of the headphone things actually on the ear. But my teachers are pretty chill about that, and so if we're doing like a test or something, we're allowed to have headphones in, and whenever the teacher's like, if the teacher calls out your name and you have it on transparency, you can hear it while still being able to listen to your music. It's extremely useful. I've loved that feature for first day I got it. And the next feature I don't really use as much as I really should be, and that's noise cancellation. But noise cancellation, it's great. My dad does own some Quiet Comfort 235, picture will be right here, and the noise cancellation is very good. It's very close to the Bose ones, and the only thing that the AirPod Pros do lack in with the noise cancellation is that for any like high frequency, slightly constant things or talking, it doesn't get drowned out as much as in the Bose, but that actually got fixed in a later update by Apple, which we'll also be talking about. And so yeah, the actual headphones are great. The actual audio quality and actual noise cancellation and transparency are great. They're not gimmicks. They work. They work amazingly. The Android support for them works amazingly now because of people that care about Android and want to make sure that Apple products work on Android well. Connectivity is pretty much spot on. It works just as good. You don't get an assistant like Siri because it's Android, you don't get Siri. And in the app, you can actually activate Google Assistant, but it's very wacky and it doesn't work really. And you can also get, when you take it out, the music will pause when you put it back in. That's all the good stuff, pretty much. Let's talk about some of the bad parts, which also does have some good parts within it. Like I said, when Apple made the noise cancellation better with the update, well, that's the only update they actually did that was actually good. When the AirPod Pros shipped, they came with a firmware called 2B84 or something like that, and a couple months later they updated to 2B88. There's obvious issues where, like I said, you could hear people talking. The higher frequencies wouldn't be drowned out as much, and it was a bad update, but it did increase the frequency response of the music. Basses were a little bit punchier, and then the whole entire curve of the sound quality was a little better. But then Apple did a really big bad. They released a firmware called 2C54. This update, the 2C54, just devastated probably millions upon millions of AirPod Pros users, their headphones. Basically, it tried to fix the noise cancellation issues while also continuing to make that bass punchier and the sound quality slightly better. But what it also did is that it had a bad microcode or something within it, which then ended up making AirPod Pros, the individual AirPods, start to get worse and basically destroy them. Noise cancellation would stop working, transparency would stop working. You would have random, whenever you'd try and readjust it, it would just scream a huge, extremely high pitch into your ear. With a higher pitched voice like mine, whenever I'd make a certain frequency, it would, a certain type of frequency on my voice, it would just completely static out, and then I can't hear anything out of the AirPods. And so, I'm currently actually on my third pair of AirPod Pros. Now, Apple does have an amazing support team. I have contacted them and they're like, okay, we'll send out a replacement. I got my replacement. They pulled the update and then I got my replacement. So a month later, I got my replacement AirPods. So there's no chance of them getting that firmware. And I made sure. I checked on my dad's iPad and it had the 2B88 firmware, it was all right. And then somehow, out of the blue, it somehow updated to 2C54. This might have been Apple's fault. It might have been just some extremely rare. But I contacted them. It was about 2 weeks after I got my replacement, and they went back to crap. The noise cancellation didn't work, transparency didn't work. Contacted them, and they were like, okay, we'll send you a full replacement. And that was amazing. They had one more update, which came out about 2 days before I got my replacement. It was called 2D15 or something similar to that. Basically, it fixed noise cancellation. For the most part, it's still not as good as the original firmware. I received my AirPod Pros. They updated to 2D15, and I haven't had issues yet. And it's been about 2-3 weeks. So yeah. So an AirPod Pro for Android users, definitely worth it if you have the money, if you need it, and if you want it, honestly. If you don't like wearing big old headphones on your head, but you want noise cancellation, AirPod Pros are amazing. If you just want a nice all-rounder that hopefully will not have any more issues from this date on, AirPod Pros are amazing. The wireless charging on it is amazing. I just plop them down next to my computer, they charge, and then when I go to school, I can just grab them. Well, when I go to school. But yeah, hopefully you guys like this review. I know it's slightly long. I'm glad to be back. I will hopefully be making a lot more videos, and hopefully you guys stay safe.